Hi, I am Jen Wilson, the Healing Rebel. Welcome to this week's podcast. If you don't already follow, subscribe, whatever you do on whichever platform that you're watching or listening to this, could you please, to help support the channel, that would be the best thing that you can do. And then if anything I talk about today resonates with you or think that somebody else should be listening to this, please do share it. I'm going to talk about sleep in this week's episode. I was on a wellbeing call with Differabled Scotland last night they are a charity who support people who are neurodivergent, and also they are carers. And the conversation came up about sleep and how can we improve our sleep, and for them, what advice can they give to carers to help support people who are neurodivergent actually get restful sleep. One of the symptoms of neurodivergent is being awake through the night rather than through the day. And one of the things that had come up was other people in the house need to be able to get to sleep. And if you have somebody who's up through the night, maybe disrupting other people, maybe upset, maybe waking you up because they're awake, what can you do to help support that person? So this advice was more around what we can do for neurodivergent people to support them, but also what can you do to support yourself? So many scientific papers, so much information out there, research, have protocols to help give you a great night's sleep. And I have spoken about these on the podcast in the past. I speak about them in the Healing Rebel course. But what we talked about last night, and what was true for a lot of people on the call, even for carers, was some of those protocols just don't work. And if you've been listening to me for any amount of time at all, you will know that I am passionate about ignore the science if it doesn't work for you. Find the thing that does work for you. I do very much work from an evidence-based approach, with the caveat, if it doesn't work, that's okay. Find the way that does work for you. And with the sleep, the research will tell you have a room about 17 degrees is the optimal temperature for the room. No screens at least an hour before you go to bed. Have the room as dark as possible. Earplugs are a good option to take away any sounds that might disturb you to waken up. Maybe a weighted blanket if that helps. Doing breathing exercises before you go to bed, doing meditations before you go to bed, very gentle movement, relaxation. But my question is, for you, what if none of that works for you? What if you do all that stuff and you then lie there thinking, tapping your fingers, I'm not going to sleep? What can you do? Lots of our devices nowadays have blue light filters built in, that when the sun goes down wherever you stay in the world, your screen starts to get a little bit dimmer. For a lot of devices, this is already something that's built in, something that activates. If it doesn't already exist in your device, you can put an app on which can dim your screen. I actually have the app on and have my screen dimmed all the time because I find that the vibrant light colours in it make my eyes feel really sore. I have astigmatism, so that apparently causes the light to, when the light hits, it scatters rather than stays laser focused. So if you have astigmatism, that may be true for you too. So are being on devices a bad thing before you go to bed? It depends. For me personally, if I'm doing anything work related, if I'm scrolling on social media, that will definitely negatively impact my sleep. If I am watching something on Netflix, a comedy, something that makes me laugh, something that helps me switch my brain off, something that one of these programs that you can just have on in the background and you can kind of tune in, tune out, have a wee giggle here and there. If I watch that right up until the point I go to bed, that doesn't disturb my sleep. My mum goes to bed and puts the telly on in her bedroom and watches TV until she falls asleep. She doesn't then have a restful sleep all night, and I have suggested that maybe having that device in her room isn't advisable, but she will not listen because she's my mother and that's just the way life is. But on this call with the people from the charity, they all had different approaches. Some of them did watch TV right up until they went to bed because that's what helped them feel calm and be able to fall asleep. For some of them, particularly those with young children that were neurodivergent, co-sleeping became a thing within their family. For some people, that's really frowned upon. But the point that came out through all the things that people do, co-sleeping, keeping lights on, having music on, watching TV, being on screens, those things were what helped them feel calm and helped them feel safe. And I think that's really important when it comes to getting a deep and restful sleep, is that you feel safe and that you feel calm. And what that looks like is going to be unique to you. If you're scared of being on your own, then co-sleeping might be the way forward, or sleeping with a light on might be the way forward for you. It'll be trial and error. If what you're doing just now isn't working, then you need to change something. But I would always advise change one thing at a time rather than lots of things. If you live with somebody who's neurodivergent, it's working out for them what helps them feel safe, what helps them feel calm, so that they can get into a space of restfulness and being able to get that sleep. Because Debbie, who runs the charity, had said, everybody in the house has to sleep. And if this one person is up through the night making noise, can't get into a space of restfulness, then they're going to have everybody in the house awake. And if you have a job to go to the following day, if you have to exist, her husband is an electrician and his fear was he was going to electrocute and kill himself if he wasn't getting a proper night's sleep. That was a real-time risk for him. So if you're not waking up feeling refreshed, that's going to have an impact on your day, on your health. If somebody else in your household is creating that disturbance, then what can be done? If you sleep with a partner and they toss and turn a lot and that wakens you up, Scandinavian people sleep in two separate beds in the same room, and the two mattresses are next to each other. They'll have two single beds next to each other, but each person's got their own mattress, so that when somebody tosses and turns, it doesn't disturb the other person. That's an amazing thing to do. If you can, get two beds and have them in the room so that you get that deep and restful sleep. If you're not getting a deep and restful sleep, it has a negative impact and goes on. One of the things when I was researching how could I have possibly ended up with Crohn's, I was fit and healthy in quotation marks. Sleep was one of the things that I was missing out on because I was working until really late in the evening. I was teaching spin classes usually till late in the evening. I was then getting home, having something to eat, not going to bed 11, 12, 1, 2, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I was getting up really early, so I'd maybe only have 4 hours sleep if I was lucky. That over time builds up, causes chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation eventually turns into disease and illness. And that's not good for anybody. I would love to know what you do to help you sleep. I currently have blackout blinds, blackout curtains, an eye mask, earplugs. I like to be in my bed before my partner so that I'm asleep when he comes to bed and then he sneaks in, or he needs to already be in and be asleep. If we go to bed at the same time and he's tossing and turning and I'm tossing and turning, it just doesn't work. I also read with an amber light so that for me, any other kind of light wakens me up. So having a really low glow light so that I can read till I fall asleep and I stick the book on the bedside table. So these are things that I have learned to do for me over time, and that's changed. When I was a teenager, I used to sleep with a light on and with music on, and my mum would be like, how can you sleep with this on? But you're going to set fire to the house. I didn't. But that was what I needed for me to be able to feel rested and be able to go to sleep. And over time, that has changed. And I would love to know, what do you do? What rituals do you have in place? What helps you sleep? Tell me in the comments, send me an email, send me a message, wherever you're listening or following this. I would love to know. I'm going to sign off here. And if you know anybody that could benefit from hearing this, please share it. If you don't already follow or subscribe, please do. It helps the channel, helps more people be able to find. And I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you or speak to you on the next podcast. Have a fabby day, whatever you're up to.